What is a video if there are no kittens? Edna mode. Can we get a close-up of those whiskers? Anyway, let's talk about today's topic. First of all, I need to say that I'm not a mental health professional. I do not have a degree in that. I'm speaking from experience and to bring more awareness to the thing that is compassion fatigue. If you resonate with any of the things that I am saying, please seek further guidance from a mental health professional. I am not one of those. I can just tell you how I'm feeling. So let's talk about compassion fatigue. Are you gonna fight me? Are you tired? Does it feel like what you do doesn't matter or is never enough? Do you go through the motions without feeling the emotions? Are you a foster or someone who's in some type of care professional? You might be experiencing compassion fatigue. Okay, but for real, this is a serious issue that plagues a lot of fosters, a lot of people in the animal welfare community, and a lot of people in the medical community, although I am not well versed in that community. I cannot speak on that experience, but what I can speak on is in the animal welfare community. A lot of veterinarians, a lot of fosters, a lot of vet techs, a lot of people who are surrounded and invested in the animal world really go through this, and it is something that is talked about, but I think a lot of the times it is talked about without individuals actually taking action and getting the help and taking the breaks that they so need and are deserved. I love you so much. Look at her face. Thank you, Edna. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Mary's Declassified Foster Survival Guide. It's me. I'm your tutor. I'm very sorry. What is compassion fatigue? Compassion fatigue is a general term that describes the physical, mental, and psychological impact of helping and caring for others. So, like I said, medical professionals, people in the animal world, what are you doing? People in the animal world experience this a lot. And it's usually brought on by experiences of trauma. So we all know trauma, we've heard of trauma. You've been on TikTok, you know, you've heard of trauma. We all have trauma. Trauma can be different things. It can be a very pinpointed experience. It can be a long experience. So sometimes that can look like death in fostering. That can look like a very stressful situation in which maybe the kitten did live, but to get from point A to point B was a lot of work and could really mess up your psyche. For example, the Pan-Luke kittens. You guys remember when the kittens tested positive for Pan-Luke? I was basically MIA for a few days. It was because I was dealing with the Pan-Luke situation. And that truly took me a lot longer to recover from than I would like to admit to, because it was just a psychological, a physical, and a mental turmoil that I went through, because I felt like I was on an adrenaline like 1000 and also just trying to keep these kittens alive, and it was a lot. That could be like the beginning of compassion fatigue, a traumatic experience. It can also be overwhelmed for a long period of time where you have a lot of animals in your care. This can happen a lot in the actual like veterinary profession, where you care for animals day in and day out, and it doesn't ever seem like there's a reprieve. It's like there's no end in sight. It's just day in and day out sadness and not good. So yeah, compassion fatigue runs wild in the animal welfare community, but that's not to be mistaken for something like burnout. Burnout means more like, I need a change. I'm tired of this thing. I need a change. Compassion fatigue means I need a break. I need to take some time and do some things for fun in me time. Something that doesn't revolve around the care and well-being of others, that revolves more around the care and well-being of yourself. Look at this girl. You're so cute. So you might be thinking to yourself, if you're in the foster world or the animal welfare world, is it me? Am I the compassion fatigue? Let me tell you, if you're thinking you are, you might be headed down that path. Compassion fatigue is the thing that occurs when these traumatic experiences start to affect our mental well-being, our physical well-being, and psychological well-being outside of the thing that we're doing. So in animal welfare, it starts to plague into our lives, and it just feels like things are pointless and you're going through the motions without the emotions. Remember that, because it's compassion fatigue. For me, when I'm starting to feel the effects of compassion fatigue, I start to, and I don't like admitting this, but this is just the reality of it, I really start seeing animals as more just like numbers. You know, how many slots do we have in our foster system? How many are going to be adopted soon? How many need to be adopted soon? How many are we intaking? And you know, I just start to see it as like a wheel of getting kittens in and out, which in theory, that's exactly what it is. But when I take the emotions of this is an individual animal with a unique experience and needs unique care, and I lose that sight of individuality, that's when I know that compassion fatigue is starting to plague my mind. Girl, just like you are plaguing my fingers, leave them alone. Another thing to look out for is when I'm experiencing very severe bouts of compassion fatigue, I stop eating and showering and moving around and seeing people on a regular healthy basis. I just become amorphous blob that is just resolute. I've resolved to only being the kitten's caregiver and I don't care about my own well-being. That's a big red flag. That is a very big red flag. The other thing that's like a really big eye-opener for me when I am in the bouts of compassion fatigue and need a break is when death and fostering does not affect me in the way that it should. I handle emotions very differently. Everyone handles emotions very differently. But when I am almost numb to what has happened, I know that something is wrong and I need to take a break or have an emergency weekend away or something because it's become too much. It's become too much. Nom, 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 nom. I can't with her. Maybe you've got this far and you realize like, oh hey, maybe this is me. Maybe I'm going through the motions without feeling the emotions and I might be experiencing compassion fatigue. So what do you do? If you're experiencing compassion fatigue, you need to stop, drop, and roll because you can't work your way out of compassion fatigue. You just can't. It's impossible. You have to have a break. Compassion fatigue is only fixed when you can stop and breathe. Immediately, whenever I'm going through compassion fatigue, I need like SOS emergency signals. I have a couple of people who are in the rescue that if I absolutely need a break, like I don't think I can make it another day, I feel so out of it and not myself and it's starting to affect, you know, the care of the animals especially. I have someone, another foster in the rescue who I can reach out to and be like, hey, I need to have a weekend for myself that I can just sleep and take care of me and do me time, whatever that means for me. Can you come and get these animals? And she will absolutely 100% of the time say yes, of course. Even if that means that puts her over her limit for a few days, she will take on the animals for a few days so that I can breathe. When I get my fosters to my emergency wonderful human who helps me in those situations, you're a bitey McBiterton. When I get my little fosters to her, I need about 3 or 4 days of completely uninterrupted sleep. Like absolutely 3 or 4 days of uninterrupted sleep where I can just chill out and recuperate. Because for me, that's usually where like I'm really lacking when compassion fatigue starts setting in. It's because I have not got enough sleep, enough restorative sleep so that my brain is all foggy and wonky. If you do the 3 to 4 days and it's not enough, don't be afraid to take months off. Don't be afraid to take time off to make sure that you're okay, because if you're not okay, you can't actually help the babies in need. You are too much. We need a break. We need a break. Next we have little Jack Jack. She's our next little helper. Look at her little face. Remember, you are responsible for you first. Your health and well-being comes above the animals, because if you're not taken care of, the animals will not be taken care of. So you have to come first. Okay, here is the thing that we really have to talk about. I see you guys, I see everyone saying hashtag self-care, I've got a face mask on, hashtag self-care, I'm taking a bath. Those are important, don't get me wrong. Those are great things to make you feel good over a short period of time. But when it comes to actual real self-care, you need to make sure that you're sleeping enough, that you're getting good nutrition, and that you're moving your body. Like seriously, go outside, touch some grass, okay? It is so important to go outside and hang out with people. You have to take care of those basics first. A good night's sleep, man, there's nothing quite like it. You have to have a good night's sleep. You have to have good food. If those things aren't in place, if you don't have a good system for that, if those things are starting to fall to the wayside, that needs to come before getting a massage or getting a face mask. Like, those are important. We have to do those first. The next point, what do you need to do in the long run? In the long run, because we're all gonna experience compassion fatigue. If you're a foster, if you're someone who fosters regularly, rescues regularly, does TNR, does other animal rescue, like whatever it is, if you are someone who's in the rescue world, you will experience compassion fatigue, okay? It's just gonna happen. We all think we're superheroes, which we are, but we are not superhuman. We have to take care of ourselves. Number one, find your SOS buddy. Someone who you can absolutely rely on to be like, hey, take these animals for a night, for 2 nights, whatever you need. I need a little break. And be each other's SOS buddy. I've got mine, you need to find yours. Secondly, make sure you're limiting the number of animals in your home. I know it's very cute to see all the kittens that I have all the time, and I do love it, but I'm very cognizant of how many animals are in my home. And when things do get overwhelming, you probably notice. You probably realize, like, I'm a little bit spacier than normal. Things are not as great. Maybe my captions aren't as clever, although they're not always that clever. I'm really suffering when I have more than a certain amount. My ideal amount is to have a group in here and a group up in the big room. That's like perfection. Right now, we're not in perfection, but we're not too far from it. And then once you find your boundaries, meaning once you have the number of animals in your home you're comfortable with, once you have your SOS person, stick to those boundaries, okay? The best way to prevent compassion fatigue is to set up strong boundaries and stick to them. Because people who will respect your boundaries are the ones you want to work with. The people who don't respect your boundaries are the ones you want to just bye Felicia. Like, we don't need that in our life. It's over, it's done. You don't bring light to my life. You don't get to be part of the shine. You know what I mean? So next, how do you set up your life in order to try to keep this from happening again? Because like I said, it's bound to happen, but if you put in strong boundaries and you limit the number of animals in your home, it's likely that it will reduce its effects over time. I don't know, words are hard. For me and my rescue, I like to take planned breaks. So between November and January, when there's a lull in kitten season, I try to give all my fosters some time off. Whether that's a month, whether that's a few weeks, whether that's they only have like 1 or 2 fosters in their home, I try to severely limit intake so that way these guys, my fosters, can take some time off, enjoy their family, enjoy themselves, and get some much needed sleep. I think that is super important. You absolutely need breaks, and if you're someone like me who does bottle bathing or overnight care for other animals, you know, a few weeks of uninterrupted sleep is like amazing. I mean, right now I think I got like 3 days, and then we got Wally, so it's rough right now, but we're gonna make it. And also just taking planned breaks overall. Like, maybe you can't take a month off. Maybe you feel like it's impossible to do that. Even just like a week is good. A week and a half. Like some amount of time that you have planned and you will stick to take off. Hi, baby. Okay, so remember, kids. Compassion fatigue can absolutely creep up on you. It can kind of come out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you feel like, ooh, I am not a person right now. Don't be afraid to take time off. Remember, listen to yourself, take care of yourself first. It's not easy to take breaks. It's not easy to listen to yourself, but if you want longevity in the rescue space, you absolutely have to take time off because it's essential for your mental health and well-being. Jack says, take mental health breaks. Take breaks, take time off, get some sleep. It's good for you. It's good for strong bones. But maybe if little kittens like Jack weren't hanging out in the middle of the road, we could take more breaks. What do you think about that? What were you doing in the middle of the road? She does not know. Okay guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming to episode 1 of Mary's Declassified Foster Survival Guide on compassion fatigue. If you have topics or suggestions, let me know in the comments below. I would love to keep making these. I would love to continue to help you guys in any way that you see or want me to. Hopefully it's enough of a silly goose time, and also you learn stuff, you know what I mean? I love you, I appreciate you. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye!